Hi Site family, my name is Ashley Lawson and I am proud to serve as the president of Site Midwest. In this session, I'll be talking about my journey to become a safe travel ambassador and tips on how you can join me as well. It all started last June when I was scheduled to go on a business trip to Cancun. And honestly, I was terrified. I was worried that if I went, I was going to get COVID and I was going to bring it back to my family when I returned to Ohio. So I spent that very sleepless night researching everything I could about safe travel, and at that time there really wasn't much information to be shared. So I did what I could. I got my mask and my sanitizer ready and I went on the trip. I spent 3 weeks in Cancun and I safely met with all of our hotel and DMC partners, and I happily returned back to Cleveland COVID-free. And as I thought back on my trip and considered how other travelers were likely feeling very similar to me, feeling that anxiety and fear about travel and not really having much access to information, I decided to make it my mission to share more details about safe travel. So in this session, I'll be sharing my tips with you on how you can join me, because I think that the more educated travelers are, the more confident that they can feel in booking travel again. So I'll be sharing 5 tips with you and excited for you to join me on my mission to become a safe travel ambassador with me. Tip number 1, if you are able to travel, do it. Go ahead and book your flight, whether it's domestic or international, and start learning about the process. It can be overwhelming. So as incentive leaders, we need to be the ones that are showcasing the different procedures and protocols that are involved with it. And take extra special note of the things that concerned you and confused you, because when you get information about it, you can then share that with your clients, friends, family, industry colleagues. So when I was scared about traveling and not really sure what to pack when I went back in June to Cancun, after my trip, I decided to write down all the things that I thought would have been super helpful, and I shared that far and wide. So as incentive leaders, let's start traveling and share our experiences. If you're not ready to travel quite yet, book a site inspection in your backyard and get started there. Tip number 2, when you do travel or go on site inspections, be endlessly curious. Be thinking about the protocols that you see and ask why, how, when, who, because we need to be the ones to communicate all of that really confusing information to our clients. So when I go to hotels and I see the temperature scanners, ask how they work. What happens if somebody has a high temperature? Ask hotel colleagues, have they experienced someone on site that has contracted COVID and how they responded? Getting answers to these questions now will enable us to be better communicators in those situations and better planners as well for our clients. So the more we ask, the more we know. Tip number 3, share what you learn. Remember, the more educated people feel about travel, the more confident they will be to book travel. So when I shared posts and articles about all of the things that I saw hotels were doing to protect guests and traveler safety, people started engaging with those posts, and they also started telling me, wow, I'm excited to travel. I feel much safer knowing about this information, that there are pulse oximeters, there are temperature checks, there are doctors on site. So be committed to sharing what you're learning, and do it on LinkedIn so our business community can know that safe travel is indeed possible, and start using the hashtags safe travel and safe events. Tip number 4, get informed on COVID testing. If you want to join me in being a safe travel ambassador, you have to be the safest traveler out there. Over the past 5 weeks, I've had 5 COVID tests. Now I know that seems like a lot, but I've been in multiple countries on over a dozen flights, and I attended a live meeting here in Cancun with our Site Midwest board. So I experienced a PCR test in a doctor's office, 2 nasal tests at Paradises Cancun, which were antigen tests. I had a blood test at a private hospital in Puerto Vallarta, and I also had a mailed test, which was a self-collection test. So now I'm able to inform clients and the industry about all the different testing out there. So if you haven't gotten a test of any of the ones that I described so far, go ahead and schedule yourself a test so you can be more informed on how it's done. Tip number 5, share your best practices far and wide. Beyond just sharing some of the things that you're seeing on social media, we need to share what we are implementing to make our events and to make travel safe. Here are 3 things that we did on the Site Midwest live board retreat, which was also a hybrid component. So we did require tests be taken beforehand. So we mailed self-collection kits to all of our board members and took away the cost and pain points of having to schedule tests. So that was a huge help. 2, we gave out daily masks with the day of the week listed on each mask so that every day everybody had access to a clean, healthy mask. And we also knew everyone was wearing them alongside us too. We also had to make sure that our mixology session on site was safe for our board members. So every board member had their own high top that was private and 6 feet apart from everyone else so that they could safely enjoy the activity. We did have some misses with that with our virtual attendees because of some obvious AV hiccups that were brand new to us, and overall budget just wasn't there to be able to make it awesome like we would have wanted. So those are 3 things that we did with Site Midwest, and if they are helpful to you, steal them or learn from them and keep continuing to share what you are implementing to make your events safe. We are all super passionate about this industry, and if we're going to get back to coming together safely, we've got to learn from each other and not waste time reading articles over and over again. We need more forums where planners and incentive leaders can share. I hope these 5 tips were helpful to you and that we will have a huge community of incentive travel leaders who join me on my mission to be safe travel ambassadors. Next up, you will see me working alongside the planning team for Site Incentive Summit Americas and making sure that that event is safe and sound for all attendees. So thank you, everyone. Safe travels and Site Unite.